Alright guys, I know what you're thinking. You're looking around like, is that what I think it is? It can't be. But the answer is yes, it really is there. You see the new B58 OC merch. So if you guys are interested in joining the B58 Owners Club and buying any merch to support the channel, the link is down in the description. Thank you to everybody that has supported so far. We've got t-shirts and hoodies in all different colors. So definitely check it out and see if there's anything that you like. But no, in all seriousness, I know we have a much different scenery right now. We've got red seats, we've got 4 doors. So yes, we are back in the 340i. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me for updates on this car. You've been wondering what's wrong with it, when are you gonna see it again? And I'm finally able to show you guys exactly what happened. So thank you to everybody that was patient with me while I got the car back going. And let's go ahead and talk about it. So for those of you that don't know, I bought this car basically looking for a broken B58 that I could fix and get into a B58 car for cheap. So I bought this car from Copart. It actually was the best option that I could find for a couple reasons. I was expecting to buy a car that was like bent up and salvage title, but this car actually had a clean title, which meant that I wasn't going to get hit by depreciation as hard. And it also had engine damage and no body damage. So for me, that was a big pro because that meant that I could fix the car myself in my garage. I wouldn't have to send it off to a body shop for paint or anything like that. So I ended up jumping on it. But there were still a lot of unknowns, and luckily when I posted that I was buying the car, the previous owner messaged me. And after I posted a video about the car, the previous owner messaged me. So that was actually really awesome because I was able to see more history on the car. I could scroll back in our messages and see how I had helped them a little bit trying to figure out what was wrong with the car, and just it gave me a lot more history on what I was getting myself into. So after that point, you guys kind of saw the videos, but I kind of had an idea of what was wrong before I jumped into that. Based on all the diagnostics that they had done, I was pretty confident that the cylinder head needed to be replaced. And worst case scenario, it might need an engine. Actually, the previous owner did get it diagnosed by a dealership, and they told him that he was going to need a new engine, but I thought that I might be able to get away with a new cylinder head. So I kind of went through the motions for all of those videos to create content, but I felt like I knew when I got to the leak down test that was going to show the problem. The only problem was it didn't show anything. The compression test passed, the leak down test passed, pretty much everything seemed like it was fine. So I really didn't have a smoking gun. So at that point I was kind of at a standstill. I really didn't know what to do. I asked a bunch of people, different tuners and different shops, if they knew what I should look at next. And basically everything led me to believe that I wouldn't be able to further diagnose the car without actually driving it. So that's kind of how we got to this point now, just because I couldn't really figure out a way to test the different components that could have caused the issue. I just felt like the best bet was to replace all the gaskets. I replaced the spark plugs, put everything back together, and now we're just gonna kind of drive the car to see if we can replicate the failure or see what's going on. Now, another thing that kind of hit me was the previous owners were complaining about the engine smoking, it was misfiring, but in my ownership, none of that has ever happened. You know, when I drive the car, it drives fine, it idles fine. You guys saw the video of it coming off the trailer. There was no smoke, nothing was wrong with it. And when I was going through it, there were some like really obvious issues, like the intake falling off and a bunch of the sensors being disconnected, but nothing that truly indicated it would cause those issues that the previous owners were having. So that's basically what we're going to do. We're just going to drive the car. I told myself I would give it about a month or so to figure out if anything else comes up and if I can replicate the failure. And if not, I'll just kind of start going for it. So at this point, I have the stock intake back on, the stock charge pipe back on. It does have an aftermarket downpipe, so I flashed MHD stage 291 just because I don't know the quality of the gas in the car. We're gonna burn through this tank and, like I said, just drive it around. And then once we get through this, we'll be able to move on to phase 2. And I know that's what a lot of you are questioning as well. What are my plans with the car? Now, I did explain in the last video that I plan on tracking this car and building it up a little bit, but I think there were some, misunderstandings from how I said that. The tracks that I go to have turns, so I'm not planning on turning it into a drag car. I'm definitely not planning on stripping it out and turning it into a race car. I just want to take it to a track just like anybody else. So we're going to do some performance mods over time, but I'm going to wait until I get seat time to make those changes. So Don't expect a whole lot of like suspension changes and stuff before I actually get it out and try some autocross or get out to a road course. We're gonna do this like really methodically, go through and change things that I think need to be improved as I find a weakness in the car. So sorry to everybody that was telling me, oh, I should get like the biggest DOCRace kit possible, or I should get big boost this time, or I should slam it and wide body it and do all this stuff. None of that is in the plans. It's probably going to stay stock turbo at least until next summer, until I do all the testing that I want to do. There are a lot of parts that I want to try out and just a lot of things, frankly, I didn't get to do with the 4 Series. You know, by the time the channel got a lot of steam and got some traction, I had already gone so far with the 4 Series that it didn't make sense to do some of like the flex fuel mods and things like that. And on top of that, there are so many new things like flex fuel, the updated tunes, new software developments for the transmission, and all of these different hardware options that weren't available when I was stock turbo on the 440i. So the 340i is going to kind of be my R&D vehicle. I just want to try stuff, create DIYs, and create content. I plan on driving it all winter. I'll drive it to work. We'll drive it on long distance trips. You know, I'll have kids in the car sometimes. All that's going to treat this car just like any other daily driver, except I am going to track it and beat on it when I can. I do have a couple parts already in the works. If you guys can't hear, the tires are rubbing pretty bad. The previous owner put some wide nittos on it that hook really well, but that's not going to be serving my purpose. So I've got some tires getting ready to go on. We're going to put a dash cam in the car, get the windows tinted, get it all set up so I can just enjoy driving it regularly on the street. And then we've got some parts that companies have sent me to test out on the car as well. So those videos will go live once the parts are released. So lots of stuff's in the works. So again, thank you to everybody that has been super patient with this build, sticking around and waiting for me to provide an update. I do have a lot in store for this car. Just don't expect it to be some 9,000 horsepower rocket ship. That's not really the goal for me. I want it to be a reliable, regular car that I can drive on the street, maybe push 400 to 500 wheel horsepower depending on ethanol and all that jazz, but also I can enjoy it on the track. I can let my wife even drive this car. I'll be able to compare the ZF8 to the manual. I'll be able to do just so many other things, and opportunities are available with this car. So I'm going to try to stop rambling, but obviously I see a lot of opportunities here, and that's what I'm going to use it for. Hopefully the testing that I do helps you guys out, especially if you're in a similar setup and maybe you're trying to decide on mods or you want to know how to install different things. My channel has always been about showing you how to make that decision for yourself, because everybody has different ideas, right, about what they want to do with their car, what their preferences are, what fuel they want to run, how much power they want to make. So I'm again just going to use this car to help test out stuff and help you guys make those decisions for yourself, instead of me just pushing products on you and telling you you need to do this, this, and this. You know, ultimately that doesn't help anyone. So yeah, that was almost one take. I don't think I took a full breath that entire time, but a lot of thoughts going through my head while I'm driving this around, and I'm just excited to finally have it on the road. Thank you to everybody that was patient. Thank you to everybody that was impatient. Both of you played a big part in helping me get this back on the road, and we're gonna see. Once this really gets going, there should be a lot of cool things in store. So stick around, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, definitely leave them down below.